Hello, everybody. Welcome in to another presentation of the Apples and Geno's Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I got my guy Josh Hutchinson in the building with me. How are we doing today, Hutch?
What's up, man? It's been a while since we've been on stream together.
I know it's been too long. It has been far too long, but we got a banger tonight because
Oh
we
yeah.
are live drafting. So this draft here is put on by Fantasy Puck. They reached out and they asked if we had some people who wanted to be in the draft. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of people in this draft that you may recognize. There's obviously Fantasy Puck guys. We've got Ian Gooding from Dobber. We've got Data Draft. If you're on YouTube, you've probably seen some of their stuff. Same goes for Fired Up Fantasy. We've got Fantasy Tipped in here as well. We got Victor Nuno in here as well. We got lots of big names in this draft. So should be great. I obviously have the second pick, and Josh has the ninth pick. We were talking about it before. We've drafted so many times together. We're working off a lot of the same projections, a lot of the same sheets. We kind of feel like we already know what the other person's going to do. We're not going to pull anything over on the other guy here. So I think we're going to talk pretty openly about our strategy as we go through here today. But before this draft gets started, you can see we're just over 3 minutes out here. Did want to run through the settings for everybody's benefit. So it's a 12-team league, head-to-head points, and the more, I guess, important things that you're probably interested in. Roster settings here, 2 center, 2 left wing, 2 right wing, 4D, a util spot, 2 goalies, 4 bench, and some IR plus spots. It is the standard 4 acquisitions per week, 3 main goalie appearances, all that good stuff. And then the point system here: goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits and blocks. Goals are worth 6, assists worth 4, power play points are worth 2, shots on goal 0.9, hits 0.5, and blocks are worth 1. Goaltenders, the stat categories are wins, goals against, saves, shutouts, pretty standard stuff. The value for wins is 5, goals against are -3, saves 0.6, and shutouts 3. Anything really sticking out to you here, Josh? I know we've talked a little bit in the early going about the potential strategy we might have here, some of these scoring settings in particular that might sway us one way or another.
Yeah, it's not too crazy. I think the blocks. We talked about how there's a pretty heavy weighting for blocks, so so that is definitely factored into the rankings that I think we're both using, and then yeah, goalies as well. A lot of points for wins, so that kind of changes my goalie strategy a little bit. I mean, still obviously going 0G, but it may just change the guys that I'm targeting late in the draft. And Mike, yes, we are getting to biz, baby.
Absolutely. Blake's in the chat already. Distinguished gentleman, just crushing at fantasy. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. That's the aim here today. We're trying to make Apples and Junos look good here today. Trying to
Yeah,
replicate.
trying to put ourselves on the map.
That's for sure. So we got a minute 25 here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm thinking here at the second pick. Yeah, I think the conventional wisdom, like you can see it in the ADP here, McDavid goes first overall in every draft. That's no mistake every single time. But Draisaitl's been a pretty consensus too. Like you don't see many people going away from Draisaitl at number 2. He does have the center left wing, which is obviously super valuable. We do have the one utility spot in this league, which does mitigate a little bit of the effect of taking a center early or something like that. But for myself, like just looking at these settings, this is a strong weight for blocks, and you have a guy here in Austin Matthews who is going to be up there amongst all forwards in blocks, like puts up respectable block numbers for a defenseman, let alone a forward. And if I just plug these scoring settings straight into my projections, Austin Matthews comes out 1.5 fantasy points per game ahead of Leon Draisaitl and zero point 0.4 ahead of Nathan MacKinnon. And I honestly think that that's going to be my pick here at number 2. So I think that'll probably shock some people. I don't think that's quite consensus, but we'll get into it here. We're about to get started.
Yeah, I 100% concur with that pick. To be honest, I would be doing the same thing.
We got
Let's
some people in
go.
the chat. Peripherals seem hugely important. That's for sure. Apples, Genos to the moon. Let's go. It is McDavid first, and I am going Matthews. So
Hell
with
yeah,
the
dude.
first two
I
picks,
love it.
yeah,
This
I
is
got
gonna be
Matthews in
interesting.
the yeah, I got Matthews in the patron league at out of the three spot in our draft
Yeah,
on Thursday. So I'm rocking
that's
with
pretty
Matthews in
solid.
a couple places. I honestly don't know if I've ever rostered Austin Matthews in anything other than Dynasty before. It just seemed like he was always a little bit steamed up, but this year it seems like off the down year, I'm getting him in a few spots.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I've had him in a couple spots before, but it's I mean, you pretty much have to be picking right at the top of the draft for any to get any of these top 4 guys. I did get him actually in the 5-hole listener league this year. Um he fell to 5 and I was really stoked about that.
Yeah, that's
Nate
huge.
McKinnon and Leon Draisaitl go off the board.
Not much surprises there. What are you
Not really
thinking here,
surprising.
Josh? Are you hoping for anyone in particular, or are you feeling
I'm
pretty
I
open this year?
my hope is that my boy Kirill the Thrill falls to me at 9. I think it's definitely possible. Um if not, there are a lot of names that I'm considering here. I think
Yeah,
Kale McCarr at 9, I don't think is a huge stretch. Um I'm looking at Ranton, although he's probably going to go soon. Pasternak goes off the board. I've got Kucherov near the top of my list here.
yeah. There's a lot of options for sure. I think it is interesting to think about. I feel like people still don't really realize what to do with defensemen, right? So in a format like this, so in the Patron League, I'll preface this in the Patron League where we had the deeper lineups where we have three center, three left wing, three right wing, plus the util spot, and then the 4D. The value of the defenseman in that league is significantly different than the value of defensemen in this league, I would say, right, Josh? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
just starting more defensemen as a percentage of your overall starting lineup. So we
Yep,
get
exactly.
Rantanen and Kucherov. You're on the clock. What are we doing here?
I'm going Kirill, baby.
Okay.
Kirill the Thrill. He's falling way too far in drafts. It's shocking. I
Yeah,
haven't been able to capitalize on it yet, but I'm taking advantage now.
yeah. I got a huge projection on Kaprizov this year 51 goals, 109 points. I think that's well within the realm of possibility. Lost in everything that was last year, the season that was, how they tried to make everybody who was not Ryan Hartman his center. Hartman was injured too, but they basically tried all of these really terrible centers that they have there instead of anyone that was actually halfway decent, and it really dragged down Kaprizov just in terms of conversion percentages. Like he had the worst shooting percentage, worst on ice shooting percentage, but he actually improved all of his other rate stats.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he added 2 minutes time on ice. Like I think it's wheels up for Kaprizov this year, and I'm fully on board with that pick at the 1-9. We see Jason Robertson go 110, Jack Hughes 111, and we're to the turn here. So this will be interesting when we start to come back around. Who are you thinking here at the 204 if you can?
Well, Makar goes. I was gonna say Makar, but I had a feeling he was probably gonna go at the turn there. So Makar and Brady Kachuk go at the turn. Those are pretty typical picks at 12 and 13. Man, I have Roman Yossi pretty high on my list. Alex Ovechkin, Tage Thompson. Those are the three I'm looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's really just whoever ends up falling to me.
Yeah.
I think those are probably the next three off the board. Ovechkin and Thompson for sure. Yossi has been falling a little bit later just because of the Nashville factor, but I'm still really high on him. Gets a lot of blocks too, which is really nice in this format.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of shots for a defenseman,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's going to change. So Tage Thompson goes.
Yeah, Thompson does go there, and I think that's a good pick. I don't have a huge projection on Thompson, only 92 points, 47 goals, but you know, that's still with just 18 minutes, 45 seconds average time on ice. He didn't play a ton of minutes last year. Like, I feel like there's a scenario in which he bumps up, like the same way Kaprizov did last year, that Tage Thompson bumps up to 21 minutes this year. And all of a sudden, he's like this 120-point beast. And I really think that's within the realm of possibility. So Elias Pettersson goes there. And so, what are we thinking here?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Yossi. I'm big on Roman Yossi this year. I have him in a lot of places. I know I know that the Nashville team situation is not amazing up front, but I still think Yossi's going to have a huge year this year. Maybe not like the 90 whatever point pace that he was on 2 years ago. But I think he's going to bounce back, and he's going to be, I mean, going to play so many minutes this year. Uh,
Yeah.
it's I think he's going to be better than people think. I think he's falling further than he should be.
Yeah, we got Joshua in here. Matthew, 60 goals incoming. I hope so for my teams. I got him in a couple of spots now, so I'm hoping for it for sure. Not just because I'm a Leafs fan. Victor's in the chat too. Surprise everyone and take a goal. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Victor? We've talked a lot of times about how Victor has been doing 0G long before I even gave it a name. So
Yeah.
I think Victor would be pretty happy if I did that, but not today, buddy. Not today. We'll see. We do get Ovechkin off right after your pick, which is no surprise. I'll be curious to see how this shakes out here. Um, I'm thinking about a few names. Stutzla is someone I thought might go, and I'm okay with that. He's a little bit down my board just based on my projection. I'm kind of hoping for a defenseman and a forward at this turn would be ideal in my opinion. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but that would be kind of my ideal situation. I'd love to not be backed into a spot where I feel like the best player is another center and just have two centers up front. That wouldn't feel great. If Barkov is there, then he really starts to feel like a best player available situation.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
but I do also have some love for JT Miller in this format. He does have center right wing. So we'll
I
see.
like I feel like Dougie Hamilton. I think it's pretty reasonable for him to end up in your range there. I feel like that's a pretty solid pick.
Ian's asking in the league chat, is this going to be a 0G draft? Asking for a friend.
Nope.
Just
And then the goalie goes off the board right away. It's just
that's amazing.
Sturkin.
So yeah, I do think Hamilton is someone that I'm interested in here. I'm not sure if I have to take him here or if I can wait.
If you
The
can
other
wait,
guy
yeah.
I'm interested in for sure is Miller. It's a reach by ADP, but in a league setting where everybody is pretty on top of things and has a good idea of where players should be taken, I guess I would say. I think I got to go with Miller here and push the defenseman just because I think there's more options at defenseman later, and I just want the right wing eligibility there. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna love that pick, but overall, I think I'm okay with it. And then we'll see if I get Hamilton to fall back here. If it's not Hamilton, then I might go back for somebody like Barkov. If Barkov is there to brink it, let me
Ooh,
switch back to
it's
the
looking good, my friend.
can
It's looking good.
to brink it there. I'm just looking at who else. Stamkos would be an option for me here as well with the center left wing. I could kind of round things out, get some dual eligibility going. That would be okay with me. It's not my favorite look, but I think it would be
Oh, and
okay.
another goalie. So you're golden, my friend.
Yeah, I think this might be Dougie Hamilton for me here. Just thinking through the other defenseman I might be able to get. But as I mentioned, in a format like this where we have probably seven forwards starting on any given day and four defensemen, I do kind of feel like I want to have some of that elite defenseman early and feel that I can probably make up some of the forward value later on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's the route I'm going to go. I'm going to go with
I,
Hamilton here.
I have the same strategy. I'm not on board with the 0D situation. I read Mark's article. I've listened to Raj from Five Hole rant and rave about that strategy, but I'm just not into it. I feel like shoring up D in points leagues early for me, or not like incredibly early, but early enough in the first 5-6 rounds, try and get three solid defensemen. It's worked out really well for me. I just find you can find considerable value on forwards later in the draft, whereas defensemen, it really dries up quick.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I do feel there's like a nice pocket in the middle rounds in more standard drafts where there is a group of defensemen that are going that are all fairly similar, like feel like
Yeah.
pretty locked in top power play kind of guys that I feel good about. But yeah, to your point, I do feel like getting ahead of the game, especially in a points league where if you're trying to just filter through guys who can, yeah, fill out some peripherals for you just so that they're not giving you zeros on any given night, that's not the way I want to play the game. So
Yeah.
um, you're almost up here. We got one more pick before your spot. Anybody in particular that you're thinking about here?
Yeah, there's a few I'm tossing around. I got Mika Zibanejad right at the top of my list here. John Carlson is also here as well. Zibanejad goes, but Carlson, I feel like I can wait and get on the other side of the turn. So I'm gonna go with Steven Stamkos, like you said. I just because of the dual eligibility. I have Eichel up here too, Braden Point, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Stammer here.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick there. 3-9. Um, yeah, you feel like you just can lock in what you're getting from Stamkos, right? So I think that's a pretty good pick.
I'm never draft Stamkos too, and I've had drafts the last 3 nights, and I have him in every single one.
Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
crazy.
Let's get into some of the more comments. Said, you want to see a surprise? Let's see Nate reach on Cider. Yeah, I've been a little bit vocal that I'm down on Cider, although it looks like he is getting a lot of power play one looks in the
Yeah,
preseason here. So we'll see how long that continues if they do that again. But
yeah. They had Gostisbehere off power play one on the last tweet that I saw. So it was
mhm.
Cider by himself.
Yeah, and that could be the case. Again, it's also a matter of how certain you are that that's going to last all season long. I'm just not convinced that Cider is, one of the top end offensive talents. And I think Gostisbehere has proven time and time again that if there's one thing he can do, it's to run a power play. So I feel like
Hmm.
over the course of the season, you're at least talking about some back and forth where there's weeks where you're just feeling like Cider's a dead spot on your roster. Joshua says Day draft as Hughes and Thompson. Nice. He adds Josh Morrissey there at the 311. Steven says if it's a points league, why is Fox dropping so far? For myself, Fox does fall a bit in this format. He doesn't shoot a lot, and shots have a big weight in this format. His blocks are really solid, but not like elite, and so he gets eclipsed by somebody like Petrangelo, even in my projections in this format. So yeah, a couple reasons there. And Fox again, not a guy who actually scores a ton of goals. Like having projected for 15, which is solid, but it's not like he's one of the top guys in terms of goal scoring. So a few
Yeah, I
reasons why
think
Fox
15
might
would be
drop.
a career high for him too. I don't
Yeah.
think he's ever had that many.
So at the turn here, we get Braden Point and Andrei Svechnikov. We're 2 more picks before yours, Josh. What are you looking at here?
I'm still looking at Carlson here. There's a lot of goalies going off the board, and that's making me really happy. I'm
Yeah,
not
me
gonna
too.
lie.
Me too.
I think we're gonna get some nice value on skaters here. There goes Adam Fox. There you go. Speak of the devil, that's Ian Gooding taking Adam Fox. So I'm gonna go John Carlson. For my second defenseman, Yossi and Carlson right off the bat, I think is I'm pretty happy with that.
That's
I
great.
feel like I may have even been able to wait on Carlson, but I feel like you would probably snipe him up
Yeah, if he got to
the next
47,
couple picks. But
I would have taken him for sure. I
yeah,
just don't know
it's
why he
these
came
Yahoo
second.
ADPs are really throwing me off. Like
Yeah,
when I draft in Fantrax, I have my rankings, and then I just look at the ADP and try and get the best value possible. But I'm finding with Yahoo, it's like I'm like I have no idea where people are going to draft these guys. Like this ADP makes no sense.
yeah.
It's crazy.
L. Adamson, this is points or categories. It is points, which explains a little bit. I'm going to throw up the settings here just for a second again so everybody can take a look if they're watching here on the stream. Goals for 6, assists for 4, power play points for 2, shots on goal 0.9, hits 0.5, blocks 1, goalies wins are 5, goals against -3, saves 0.6, shutouts 3. So 5 more picks till my turn. William Nylander comes off. I'm okay with that, to be honest with you. Obviously, the right wing is nice, but I've got some other guys that I would have ahead of him here. Blake's in the chat saying, be honest, Josh, you're using my projections, aren't you?
I'm using a hybrid of a few people's projections paired with Dom Decision's VORP model. So it's like it's kind of it's a mishmatch of a whole bunch of different things. But I'm pretty set on doing my own next year because I'm just not happy with the way that things have turned out. I don't like making hybrids. I have my own opinions, and I'm trying to take what I like from each person, but it's just not the way that I want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely feel that. Zach Hyman and Eric Carlson coming off.
Oh, Seth Jones at 45. That's pretty high.
That is
But I
probably
mean,
the highest that I've seen Seth Jones come
that's
off.
by far the highest.
That's Victor there. It's an interesting one. Maybe we'll have to pick Victor's brain on that one and see where he's got him. I am looking at a few different things here. Um, I'd like to continue to pound right wing. We talked about this in our draft the other night, Josh, but right wing feels
Mm-hmm.
so shallow this year.
Dries up really fast.
Any other, any other time, any other year that I can remember, really. Jack Eichel's still here. Jake Gensel's still here. I'm not in love with the defenseman here. Feels like a tier. I feel like they might all go off before they come back to me, so maybe that's a problem. But I think I got to get some guys in my queue here at the very least. I like Jake Gensel. It sounds like he's only going to miss, a couple weeks. I like Matt
Yeah.
Boldy here as well, but I feel like he might come around the corner to me. I'm not super high on Eichel. He's fine, but I don't know that he's tremendous, so I'm going to go with Gensel. I'm going to hope for Boldy to come back around and think about who else I might be into. Kyle Connor's another interesting one. Obviously, I just took a left wing only, so it would be my second left wing only if I did do Kyle Connor. Sergachev goes on the corner, and Pietrangelo. I'm thinking about defensemen because I don't want to get totally left behind here, but I still like. There's a lot of names that I like. I feel like I can get some forward value here and still feel pretty okay later on. I have Boldy in another spot. This might be a Kyle Connor spot. I have them very close in my numbers here. I do really like Connor. The problem with Boldy is the left wing, right wing. That's just pretty hard to pass up.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Yep. We're going with
Yeah.
Boldy.
If I was you, that's what I would be going with as well.
All right. So we'll switch back to the draft board for everybody here. So it went Keisha right before me. Then I took Gensel, Sergachev, Pietrangelo on the turn, and then I took Matt Boldy. What do you think here of my team so far, Josh? Give me a quick after 5 rounds review.
All right. Sorry, man. I was not listening, so I'm just gonna take a quick look again. I like your team a lot, actually. Matthews, Miller, Gensel, Boldy, Hamilton. Yeah, not much I wouldn't do on any of those picks. I feel like we're pretty in line. I know you mentioned that already, but I feel like we have similar philosophies in terms of the way that we draft. So I mean, we're going to be mostly in agreement for the most
Yeah,
part.
yeah, for sure. All right, so talk to me a little bit about what you're feeling here. Anybody that's coming up, your boy John Tavares has gone off to Victor, so
Yeah, that's a shame. That is a shame. I've actually early in draft season I was getting Tavares a lot, and I'm actually finding myself not picking him so much. Jack Eichel goes off the board. I was actually considering him at I feel like late in the fifth is pretty good value for him, but I've got Rupe Hintz right
yep.
around here. He's still on the board. I have never drafted Rupe Hintz. There's always someone that's higher on him than me, and
This could be
it's
the
kind
year.
of exciting. I like that Dallas Stars team, but Alex Tuck is here as well at right wing, which I have him pretty similarly, but I do. Oh man, Rupe Hintz, that's tantalizing. Victor Hedman goes off the board. There's one more before me. I'm almost kind of hoping that this guy makes it easy on me and just picks one of the guys that I'm mulling over. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm between Hintz and Alex Tuck right now.
Yep.
I don't know, Nate.
Either could go in this spot. I'm more confident in Hints, but obviously, if you're really trying to lean into the right wing thing, then you got to go Tuck.
Well, and that's the other thing is he may come around the Ryan Nugent Hopkins goes there. Actually, there are a few other right wings that I like that are going to go a little bit later. So I think I'm going to go Rupe Hintz.
Yeah,
It's just too juicy, man.
Too juicy.
Too juicy. Baby dry, baby.
Baby Jai. That's the guy. Michael says Seth Jones went too high in his draft on Yahoo today too. Yeah, I feel like we've been relatively high on Seth Jones as a
Yeah.
group, but I don't know that you can really see some kind of super high end ceiling. We talked about it with Bedard, who goes here at 5'10. That what's the ceiling on a team that literally has no one to play with? So it's kind of hard to see, but I think that Seth Jones, at the very least, especially in this format, right, where you're getting so much for those blocks and hits, that it does kind of feel pretty solid that at the very least he's going to block a lot of shots this year because Chicago's just going to get caved in.
Yeah, 100%. I like Seth Jones a lot, honestly. In most leagues that I'm in, I'm getting him at really nice value, and that's even above his ADP. Like I've reached for him quite a few times, but yeah, at 45, I was pretty surprised to see him come off the board. That does seem a little bit high.
For sure, we get Artemi Panarin at 5'11. We get Quinn Hughes at 5'12, and we'll wait for the other pick on the turn here. It's Charlie McAvoy. So what are we thinking now? You've got a left wing, center, left wing, and a center, and then the 2D.
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
have to go
feeling.
right wing, or are you still
I
feeling
mean,
open to some stuff?
I don't have to go right wing, but Alex Tuck is still there. He's the other guy I was mulling over, so I'm feeling like if as long as Ian doesn't take him here, and he doesn't, he goes Clayton Keller. So I'm gonna go Alex Tuck. That's perfect.
Nice.
Making it easy.
You
That
love
doesn't
to see
usually
it.
go that swimmingly. That was really nice.
Yeah. So we see Andrei Vasilevsky go at 6:05. Obviously has the injury here. Sounds like they've got a 2 month timeline on him returning. What's your thoughts on Vasilevsky? Obviously, both of us are pretty hardcore zero G guys. We're not
Hmm.
really ever drafting Vasilevsky. I did draft Vasilevsky in the Patron League the other night. He was in the
Hmm.
12th round. Obviously, a little bit more price to pay here in the 6th. Do you have a spot in mind where you're actually willing to pull the trigger on Vasilevsky if he slips in one of your drafts?
Well, I mean, certainly where you took him there, he was definitely on my radar, and honestly, it was probably a whiff to not draft him even a little bit earlier. I mean, I think I'm not super stoked about drafting a goalie any. I mean, anywhere earlier than like round 9, 10. I drafted Tristan Jarry in round 9 in the Cupful this year, and that was the earliest that I've drafted a goalie in a while. And that was really just I didn't love the skaters, like the skaters that I had at the top of my ranking list. I felt like would come back around to me. So and all the other guys that were at the ADP that we were at, um I just felt like a goalie made sense at that point. Tristan Jarry was on the board. I think he's going to have a good year. He's a volume starter. I think Pittsburgh's going to be pretty good this year. I'm pretty high on them. I think like looking at the metrics, the team metrics, like they were incredibly unlucky, and that's a team that I feel like people aren't talking about in that way. We talk about Calgary, we talk about Florida, but Pittsburgh was very in a very similar situation where they were incredibly healthy finally, but they just did not convert, even though they were producing a ton.
Yep. Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm looking at my picks. So after Vasilevsky, it goes Fiala, Philip Gustafson, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Johnny Gaudreau. I think I am looking at a potential D double tap here on the turn. We'll see. Obviously, there's still one more pick before me, so things could change here.
Can I
But
can I guess who the two are that you're
yeah,
thinking
go
about?
ahead.
All
Let
right.
me take a
Is it
guess.
Werenski and Montour?
Not Montour actually.
Oh, okay.
I think I think I'm gonna wait on Montour. I'll see if we
Yeah,
can get
that's fair. I think you
value
can
there.
wait on Montour
Yeah,
for
just with
sure.
the injury. And there's other guys that I honestly have projected comparable for an 82 game pace. Still in Larkin goes. Wierenski is definitely one of them. I might just see who's highest. Like if I'm going by ADP, I'm going way down the list to get my guys here. But I also know that there's some sharp drafters in here that are probably
Hmm.
going to take my guys if I don't. So I think that I'm going to grab Wierenski here. And the other one's Letang that I'm going to throw in here. I'm pretty interested in Letang this year. Obviously, top power play, all of that. Actually think I'm going to be more sad if I let Letang get by, just because it's like in this league, there's lots of value on these peripherals, right? And Letang does that in spades.
Yeah.
He's always going to have that for you. Kempe goes. There are some forwards here that are interesting, which is the only thing giving me pause about my double tap strategy. But I do kind of feel like there's still a tier here. And the way that this draft has gone, I think some more goalies are going to go. I think there's going to be some guys that I feel somewhat similarly to the way I feel about the guys that I'm looking at the forward position, where I think that might not feel quite the same about the defenseman. So I am going to double tap D here on this turn, lock up 3D that I feel really comfortable with, all top 10D in my projections in this format. So I feel pretty good about that.
That's a great call. I think that's a great call.
All right. So yeah, on the turn there, so it was Goudreau and then Dylan Larkin went right before my pick. I took Letang, Kempe, and Aho on the turn. Aho's a great pick at 7-1. That's a really nice spot to get Sebastian Aho. And then Zach Werenski 7-2. Aho was actually the one player that was kind of giving me some pause. Like, he probably shouldn't be here at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
and that was one of the reasons I was thinking about potentially going away from D when he went off. I was a little bit more convinced that that's what I wanted to do. Sam Reinhart goes 703. Yeah, I just feel like we're getting into a little bit of that tier where everybody kind of has their own opinions. Like, there's not so much consensus about the forwards here.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their favorite guy, and so some of these guys that I'm super into, I do kind of anticipate might fall. So I'm just kind of willing to play that game a little bit, and especially like we talked about in this scenario where we're talking about the replacement level of defensemen in a league where you're starting 4 defensemen every night and only starting 7 forwards, most likely. I'm just willing to take that and kind of put that in the bank right away.
Yeah, I've got 3 guys that I'm looking at right here. I'm looking at Jacob Chikrin. I think if he's there, I'm gonna pull the trigger on him now. It's a little earlier than he's been going, but I don't trust that he's going to end up there. Patrick Laine was actually another guy that I was mulling over here. That left wing, right wing is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if Chikrin is here in 2 picks, I'm gonna be taking him. And then I'm thinking of going for another right winger. And I'm looking at Drake Batherson and Val Nichushkin as the guys that are near the top of my list here. Um, I'm a big fan of both. I've really softened on the whole Drake Batherson thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, if he ends up being guilty of the alleged crimes, then my opinion will change. But I'm getting the feeling like nothing's gonna happen
Yeah.
for a while still. So, all right, Chikrin is still here, so I'm gonna go Chikrin. So now I got Yossi Carlson Chikrin. I'm really happy with that at this
Yeah.
point.
You also have 3 of the top 10D in my projections.
Yeah, yeah, we're scooping them up.
Marchand is a good pick here as well. I like
Oh
that.
yeah, that's really late for Marchand. That's really nice. I didn't even realize he was still there.
So coming back around, yeah, you've got the 3D, you've got the left wing and right wing with Kaprizov and Tuck, you've got the center with Hintz, you've got the center left wing with Stamkos. You feeling like you want to get into right wing? You're alluding to it there with Batherson and with Nichushkin. You feel like you want to lock that up, or you feel like there's still some guys later on? I have found like
Uh,
there is a tier a little bit later on that I'm like okay with, you know.
there's a tier really late. Like there's like Brian Rust is a guy that I'm pretty happy with. But I don't even know that this draft is deep enough
Right.
to get there. Where he will have value. Joe Pavelski is a guy that I would consider too, but I feel like he's going to go imminently. Owen Tippett. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like now is a good time to well and Nichushkin's here. He's got left wing, right wing eligibility. I still have a left wing and right wing slot. So I'm feeling good about that
Mhm.
right now. And I'm hoping Dylan Cousins goes off the board. That feels early for Dylan Cousins.
Feels a little bit early. Yeah, after Marchand, we get Montour at 7-11, we get Demko 7-12, and we get Cousins 8-1. So for those of you doing the zero G watch at home, we've got Josh and myself with no goalies through 7. We've also got data driven hockey with no goalies, and we've got Victor with no goalies. So we got
No
four of
surprises
us.
there.
We got four of us playing zero G chicken so far, and everybody else has already caved. So we'll see how long it takes the others to cave. But we're ready to take this thing to the bitter end. All right.
Oh yeah. I Victor from everything that I've heard him say sounds like he waits pretty late as well. So oh man, now I'm questioning myself. Uh
Bad time to start questioning.
it is a bad time. I'm on the clock here.
So we had
I mean
Toffoli and Nurse come off, and now you're on the clock.
okay, you know what? I actually this utility spot is kind of changing my mind. I'm going with Evgeny Malkin here.
All right.
I don't want to let him fall any further. I think that's really good value for him at 88. And I'm just going to hope that there's more right wingers a little bit later.
Fair enough. We see Ilya Samsonov and Evander Kane go off after Kane was going to be on my short list for sure. Tristan Jarry goes. So Samsonov and Jari, two members of the next tier of goalies for me after the top 7. They're gone. We'll see if Data Driven Hockey or Victor will cave to the goalie pressure here and see if we can get
Data,
somebody
Data
off
Driven's
this.
on auto draft right now, and he's on the clock. That's not good.
Oh, that is not good. Yeah, it looks like he was having
Having
connectivity
internet
issues
issues.
left
Yeah.
partway through here.
Oh, he's gonna. Oh, he will take a goalie by accident.
Yeah, that could be.
That's the worst.
That would be the worst. We got Carrick saying he's a little worried about Val as he's been practicing on power play 2, which is sad because I drafted him in a couple. Yeah, I'm not that worried about that, to be honest with you. I feel like Nichushkin's clearly one of their best 4 forwards at this point. I feel like it'll work out in the long run. Dobson was someone that I was gonna have to consider, so it's a good pick, obviously by Victor there. Joe Pavelski, the other one that comes off. Just trying to find him to knock him off my sheet. Looks like I got to scroll down.
Is Victor still watching? I just realized that he's totally
Yeah,
totally listening to our strategy right now.
He might be stream sniping us right now. That's all right.
That's all right. That's part of the game.
We need to give these people all the edge they can have, right, Josh?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, what I'm looking at here, I am looking at Batherson. I'm looking at Philip Forsberg, Ehlers for Haggy. There's actually a few names, Nichushkin that you mentioned. There's a few names that I'm interested in here. I'm really high on Forsberg this year. Like I feel like in years past he's going way before this. I don't think his situation has actually changed all that much. To be honest with you, like I really don't think that subtracting Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene was like some massive loss for that team. So I'm pretty happy to go with Forsberg there. I've got 2 left wing onlys. I've got a center right wing. I've got a left wing right wing. I would like to see Batherson here. That would be my pick if he's there. If it's not Batherson, I'll have to
I think you'll be fine.
think about it on the fly here, but we shall see. Trouba goes to the first pick on the turn here, and we'll see about the next one. If it's not Batherson, it's probably Nichushkin for me, to be honest. That would probably be the route I'd go. I'll load him up.
I've got my fingers crossed that one of them is going to end up in my lap again. Oh, Jonathan Huberdeau. That's actually that's not bad value for Huberdeau.
Yep. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So yeah, as it broke down there after Pavelski and Dobson, it was Skinner right before me. I took Forsberg, then Trouba and Huberdeau go, and I take Batherson, and we start to come back and make our way back to you. So obviously you're interested in Nichushkin, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So anybody else that you're already lining up here, Josh?
Well, I don't really want to go center though. I have a lot of centers up here. Carter Verhaeghe still on the board. That's pretty shocking. So that's a guy that I'm
Yeah.
definitely mulling over. He's a center left wing. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think if Nichushkin's not on the board, I may consider going Verhaeghe. Buchnevich is up here. I've also got Chris Kreider, Troy Terry. We're kind of getting in that territory around 100
Yeah.
where I'd start considering Troy Terry. But yeah, I definitely need some right wingers here. Um, I only have one player with right wing eligibility, so I need a little bit more flexibility. So I'm really hoping Nichushkin is going to be there. There are 2 picks before me. He's still sitting there. So
Well,
let's go.
while we wait for that, let's get to Ian's question here. What side would you rather have in a 12-team Cats League, Svechnikov or Boldy plus Konechny? Assuming it's banger Cats, I think I'm honestly on the Svechnikov side. I think Svechnikov can match Boldy for points, and the hits are just tremendous. So
Yep.
assuming that you got hits and yeah, assuming you don't have like 6 point related categories and only hits, then I think I would lean into Svechnikov there. To be honest with you, I'm in a lot of cases I'm just going to take the best player and not take the extra two because I feel like I can replace at least a good percentage of the secondary player with some waiver wire work later on. So that's how I'm going about it. Nick Sosser says, "Damn, Dobson at 8-9 is such good value." I'd agree. That was definitely a good pick there. Somebody I was going to have to consider if he was still there. Toronto Dave's in the chat. Hey, Toronto Dave, what's up? So after all this breaks down, after my Batherson pick, we go Taves, Bratt, McCann, Theodore, Markstrom, Doughty, and then you do get Nichushkin.
I got
How
him.
happy are you right now?
I'm pretty happy. I'm happy that I waited on him. To be honest, I'm glad I went for Malkin instead.
Yeah, yeah, it always feels good when you decide to push something and then it falls all the way back to you and you're like, oh wow, like I definitely didn't have to reach on that one to make that one happen. So
It is
after
kind
you
of crazy that this is the experts league, but I'm feeling like we must draft very differently from these other people because like everything feels like it's going my way here, and I feel like your team is very looks very nice as well.
yeah, I'm pretty happy about my team. Definitely, like you get into different corners, right? Like our side, we obviously preach 0G. Everybody's hard into that, in our like patron league or listener leagues or whatever you might have. So you're not going to get that in every corner. We obviously think that that's the way to play it, but you're definitely not going to see that everywhere. So it's fun to see the differences of opinion play out in the draft scenario like this, and obviously we'll see how it plays out over the course of the year. I feel pretty good about our potential here between the two of us. We'll try to keep the championship in the A&G house for sure, but definitely there's some sharp names in this league too. We're
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
gonna have to be on our toes all season long, working those waiver wires. And so after Nichushkin, we go Nichas, Bushnevich, Kreider, Marchessault. Who are you thinking about with 2 picks to go before your
I
Chabot
s-
goes?
Verhage is still here, and I'm blown away. Uh, I'm I don't think I've seen him fall this far this year. So, and there we go. I'm getting Carter Verhage. That's crazy.
Yeah, that feels
Um,
really good to me.
very happy with that. Very,
Yeah,
very happy.
he's
Especially
definitely
that
one of those
dual
players.
dual eligibility, which makes absolutely no sense. I don't think he's ever played center.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, that's a terrific spot in my mind to be able to get into some Verhage. Yeah, he was definitely similar echelon to Forsberg for me when I took Forsberg at that pick. So got no qualms about Verhage there for sure. Um, Thinking ahead, there are some defensemen here that I'm still somewhat interested in. Um, yeah, it's probably just one name that I'm considering right now, and then there's a bunch of forwards still. I'm still not interested in a goalie at this point. We've seen Markstrom come off. Stuart Skinner is the one guy hanging out here that I've seen go. I guess Linus Allmark has gone a little higher in a lot of spots. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty much not thinking about it at this point.
No, me
So
neither.
I'm loving life with the later options in the zero G game, and I really want to make sure that I fill out this roster, at least the starting roster, and get into the bench a little bit probably before I'm really even thinking about what my goalies are going to look like, because I anticipate all of my goalies are going to change. So
Oh yeah.
Blake says Nichushkin is a beefer. He does do that. He does do that.
Very true. Very true.
Alan says, "Are you guys going by your skater projection with league settings as you draft, or are you just going by rank slash your knowledge?" You talked about that a little bit already earlier, Hutch. For myself, yeah, I've got my projections up on a second screen, and that's kind of just how I set default ranks. I don't necessarily always just draft the next guy up by my projections. I kind of look at how much of a difference there is between this guy and the next guy, and what I think the upside case for this guy might be, what I need on my team, obviously, positional availability, all those kinds of things. I'm still factoring in kind of on the fly, but for a base system, I set up my projections. I separate it by forwards and defensemen and goalies, obviously, and then I draft accordingly based off that. So we get Justin Falk, Stuart Skinner, Morgan Riley, Darcy Kemper, one more pick. So Victor has finally fallen prey to the zero G, uh,
Wow.
and
He
the
went
temp.
for it.
He
Is
went
it just
for it.
you and me now?
I think Data Driven Hockey
Oh,
still doesn't have one.
interesting. I
So
feel like we kind of owe it to the audience to wait until he picks a goalie. Just stay super on brand.
stay super on brand. I'm here for it, man. I'm all about it. So Claude Drew goes, I take Michael Matheson, who is the player I was thinking about there. I just think that he's kind of the last of a tier, clear power play one, still provides all those hits and blocks that you're looking for. And then there are a few names. I'm pretty open with the way that I've constructed my roster so far. I can go. I've got 3 right wing eligible players already. I've actually only got 2 center eligible players right now, so I can kind of go in any direction here. And right now, I feel like I got to have a team somewhere where I've got Nikolai Ehlers on it, so that's what I'm going to do here.
Yeah, at 122, that's a really nice pick. Although I just don't think he's ever going to get that deployment. I've been looking at the line rushes, and he's still on power play too. It's just baffling.
It is baffling. It's really just, at this point in the 11th round where I'm filling out, my last starting spot or potentially a bench spot, depending who else I get later on. I'm just willing to bet on the upside at this point because I do think that there's a 90-point player inside of Ehlers if things break right. Like, who's to say that Winnipeg doesn't, just tank the first 10 games of the season? Bonus is gone. The new coach comes in and Ehlers is suddenly playing 21 minutes a night. Like, that's within the realm of
Mm-hmm.
possibilities, too. It's not likely, but in the 11th round, I'd rather have guys that I think have that upside than, just taking another guy who I know is going to score 60 points. All right, so after Ehlers, it goes Dursey, Lindholm. We'll see if Data Driven Hockey bites a bullet on a goalie here. They're
Yeah.
back in the room, so
What's gonna happen?
we'll see.
Mackenzie Weegar. Okay, we're still going.
We're still going.
Still
We're
going. I'm
still,
okay with it. I
yeah,
still see a lot of juicy skater names on here.
exactly.
Joel Eriksson Ek goes. He's been at the top of my list for a while. I just haven't wanted to take a center. I really think Eriksson Ek's gonna have a good year this year. He had really nice I mean, he always has really nice shot and hit numbers.
Yep.
But he had a good year last year, and his shooting percentage was low. On ice shooting percentage was low. I just feel like he's gonna pop a little bit this year.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening for him. Um, I think this is starting to shape up where this is a 17 round draft in total. I think we're going to get into a little bit more craziness where people are really taking the shots on their sleepers, which should be pretty fun to see. One more
Yeah.
pick before you, Josh. What do we got on deck here?
I've got Troy Terry lined up here
Yep,
for a right wing. Boy, doesn't do a lot peripherally, but and I know we mentioned peripherals are important, but so are points. And I feel like he's going to be about a point per game player this year. So getting him at what 129, that's pretty nice value for Troy Terry. So as long as Mr. Clutch doesn't snipe me, he takes Kopitar, so I'm going Troy Terry. There we go. Really like Anaheim's schedule as well.
yeah,
It's always really good. They play on so many off nights, so I'm pretty happy with that.
for sure. We got another comment from characters. A team with 3 goalies, and Nate and Josh have 0. So proud of you boys. That's what we're looking for.
Oh yeah. Who needs 3 goalies in a points league?
Yeah, come on, let's get that
What are
out
we
there.
doing?
I'm fine with taking 3 goalies if they're like the last 3 goalies, and you're just kind of seeing which ones hit and
Yeah.
they're doing, and you're expecting to cycle them out. I'm fine with that, but yeah, it's not necessary, especially not in the first 10 picks in my mind. Um, so we get Linus Allmark and Logan Thompson going. Logan Thompson going ahead of Aiden Hill, which is pretty interesting to see.
That's been happening lately. I've been seeing that a lot. I don't know why people's opinion is changing. I know that we've had discussions on podcasts about that, about how, well, I don't know that Aiden Hill necessarily has the starting job, but like it seems like everyone has just really like that his ADP is now on Fantrax. Like he's going a spot sooner than Aiden Hill. It's very strange.
Yeah, yeah, I guess Logan Thompson played really well, and that probably got cemented in some people's mind. Um, and I think there's just starting to be a little bit more of a healthy distrust of goalies who have hot runs, even in the playoffs, among the fantasy community. So I think that all kind of plays into it for sure. But definitely interesting. Not every season you see a goalie go on a big run, win the Stanley Cup, get paid in the off season, and then be drafted behind his counterpart.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy. It's
so
very
it'll be nice
weird.
to see. All right, so we've got the first pick on the turn, which is Bo Horvat. 3 more picks before your pick, Josh. What are we looking at
Hmm.
here? How are you feeling about the roster? Where are you weak?
Well, I need to get another defenseman. And that I think is probably where I'm going to go here. Aiden Hill goes there. Speak of the devil. Um, I think that it's time. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a lot of the power play one quarterbacks are off the board at this point. So I think I'm going to go Bowen Byram at the right now. He's got nice peripherals. I think he's gonna pop. I've got him in a lot of leagues this year. I'm really feeling good about his production, even if it's just 5v5. And I mean, if Cale Makar goes down, he is definitely the next guy up on that top power play. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
For sure. Joshua says Matheson for the win. Nate, yes, absolutely. Yeah, just one of the last guys with a really solid spot that you feel confident about. Michael says, how many points are you getting for goalies? I could throw that list up again. So 5 points for win, -3 for goal against, 0.6 for save, and 3 for a shutout.
It's
So
a
after
lot.
you, it is a
They
lot,
are more important than some of the leagues that I'm in. So at some point, we're gonna have to take goalies.
but not before data-driven
Yeah,
hockey.
no, no, it's not okay.
We'll see if that comes to pass, but that would be pretty good for the memes for sure.
Yeah.
So after your Byron pick, it's Tyson Berry. Then we get Patrick Kane. Did you see the video, Josh? Patrick Kane doing tight turns, looking solid, looking like Patrick Kane of old. Do you have any interest in Patrick Kane, and where would you draft him in this draft?
I mean, I think 138 is fine. Like as long as you have a way to stash him. Like I don't like him taking up a roster spot. So if like if you're not able to put him on IR plus or you don't have an NA spot, because I don't know what his eligibility is right now. I know there was some controversy in the Kickupful about that. But I mean, I'm not opposed to having Patrick Kane on my roster. I mean, especially where he's being drafted, like right there, it was 138. So I mean, I think he'll provide good returns wherever he ends up.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's really just a matter of if he can get a deal done. Like we're approaching the season, right? Like it's not that far away at this point, and he still doesn't have a deal. I mean, I'd love to see him cut something with the Leafs. I don't know if we have the cap space to make that happen, but that'd be pretty fun.
That would be pretty cool. Data driven hockey is still not going with a goalie.
He's pushing us.
Yeah,
it feels personal at this point. I don't know.
It does. I feel. Oh,
I'm here for it.
yeah.
Yeah, I've still got lots of targets that I'm interested in. I've got a fat projection on Sam Bennett once again. It seems like Bennett is one of those guys that always shows up well for me in projections. It seems like, honestly, he's got a chance at top power play this year, which didn't really seem like it was there in the past. So Bennett feels good for that reason. You know, I can take a guy like an Ekblad here, throw him on IR if I want to do something like that.
Definitely.
It's in the realm of possibility. There are obviously some goalie options. I'm never thrilled when I look at the goalie section with what's actually there. I think what I'm most likely to do here is to take Bennett. Yeah, just because he shows out the most for me in my projections. And I feel like I have the room at center. I still only have two guys that are center eligible, so happy to take Bennett here.
Yeah, that's a great pick. He was at the top of my list. I don't know that he would have been who I would have gone with next, but he was definitely in there on a short list for sure.
Yeah. So we've got other guys here. Matty Beniers goes behind. Nico Heischer's still here. Boone Jenner's still here. Brock Nelson, Trocheck. Yeah, there's a few names.
Did you say Nico Heischer? There's no way.
Unless I missed him. Oh, okay, he is gone. Okay.
I was gonna say
just
is he still there? Because I'm jumping all over that shit.
Yeah, I don't have a strong lean, honestly, at this point, which might mean that it's an Ekblad stash spot. Yeah, everything just feels like a big tier. The other thing I'm thinking about is Zegras, just for the Anaheim factor, but I don't really feel like I need his eligibilities right now, so I think I'm just going to grab Ekblad and stash him.
Yeah, I think that's good. I did that in the Patron League, and I feel pretty good about it there.
Ekblad was really solid at the end of last year before all the injuries piled up. He doesn't need the top power play to be relevant. There were lots of times last year where they had both defensemen, Ekblad and Montour, on that top power play unit. That could happen again.
We did it. We did it. We fucking did it.
For the people just listening to the audio, that means that Data Driven Hockey is now taking a goalie. He's taking Frederick Anderson in the 13th round. So does that change anything, Josh? Are you going to start scooping up all the goalies now?
I don't know about scooping them all up now, but I'm definitely taking one on this turn. We're at around 12 and 13, so I think it's about time. I do still see some skaters that I'm pretty interested in, but I think it's about time. Let's see. All right, and then in terms of goalies, there's still a few interesting names on here. Like, I mean, Philip Grubauer, I think, is right at the top for me. I think Seattle's going to be solid again. Sergei Bobrovsky is still there. I'm not really super high on Binnington, even though he's probably going to get some volume. I feel like there's too much of a chance that he's going to lose his starting his starting job. Eunice Corpusalo's still here too, so I don't know. There's a lot of decent names. So, Gostisbehere goes off the board. Oh, yeah, I think I'm gonna go Grubauer. Grubauer's my guy. Actually, no. I changed my mind. Changed my mind. Is it Bobrovsky?
All right.
I'm going Bobrovsky.
Yeah, I have Bobrovsky above Grubauer for sure right now. Um, yeah, just not sure. It's a good team, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, and I've talked about this a little bit. Like, I want to have some of these goalies off good teams because even if that goalie doesn't pan out, you feel like you're going to be the first guy to know about it if he's not panning out, and you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
watching to grab the guy behind them. So I'm pretty happy to have a goalie, even a goalie that I'm not too certain in, who's slated to start the year. And then if it does switch, I feel like I should be in a good position to get that back up on my team and make that swap. I've done that
Yeah.
in several spots before, and it's worked out pretty well. So again, just kind of targeting teams, especially in a situation like this, right, where you have a pretty big number on the wins. So really, just looking for wins and kind of hoping that the save percentage doesn't hurt too much in the back end.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after Bobrovsky, it goes D'Angelo and Kadri. How are you feeling about D'Angelo? There were some reports that he's on the top power play unit in
Yeah,
Carolina. Are you interested in him? Do you think 13th is an appropriate spot now?
absolutely. I'm very interested in D'Angelo. Um, Mainly just because he's done it before in Carolina. They brought him back for a reason. I feel like they didn't actually have a very good power play last year. Um, Even with Brent Burns on it, Brent Burns had pretty good production on the power play, but as a unit, they were not that great. They were actually worse with Burns than they were with D'Angelo. So I feel like he's got a pretty long leash in that position. And I'm feeling pretty good about him and his production, especially at the value that you can get him at. Like he's going really late in almost every draft that I've been in. So I picked him up in the cupful. Um, and I'm very happy with that.
All right. So after D'Angelo and Kadri, it goes Swayman, Schmaltz, Spurgeon around the corner. Ian Gooding's on the clock right before you, Josh. What are we talking about here? What are you looking at?
So I have Arturi Lekkinen right at the top of my list here. I really love him as a player. I do have a ton of left wingers, or at least left wing eligible players, but now I'm second guessing myself again.
Thinking on the clock once again.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go with my boy Lycan. And this is another guy that I have in a number of leagues. And I've actually Byram, Nichushkin, Lekanen I have them in a number of leagues. And
Yeah.
I'm very high on Colorado at least guys on their top power play plus Bowen Byram. I'm really
Right.
high on all those guys this year.
Yep. After your pick, it's Vitek Vanacek going there. We'll see, obviously, who comes back. I'm thinking about a goalie now. There are a couple names still out there that I'm interested in. I don't know if I need to do it here. I'm I'm still so content to push this even further. I'm honestly thinking about in my couple draft. I'm honestly thinking about literally pushing it to the last picks of the draft just for the just to be able to say that I did.
I
Um,
can't believe what round are you on a couple right now? Like it's taking
uh,
so long.
I think we're just started the 12th. Yeah,
Wow.
it's been really
That's
slow.
that's painful.
We have like three or four different people who are multiple hours on average per pick. We have some people who are overseas and stuff, so definitely understand it in their case.
Yeah.
They can't be awake when everybody else is awake, and so you kind of run into those awkward spots in the draft sometimes. But yeah, it's just been. It seems like I don't know. We're missing everybody's open windows to make a draft pick, and it's just been very very slow. But
Yeah.
we'll get through it. So we get Sanderson, Hagel, Hannafin, and then Merzlikins. Merzlikins was not really on my radar. The it was such a bad season last year. Like I understand he had like a one season showing where he looked pretty good, but it feels like everybody's really just holding on to that and hoping that that means something, and I'm just not convinced it does. Um, so I can't say that I'm super in on Merzlikins, although I am kind of hoping and thinking there's a chance that Columbus takes a step this year. There's still a couple other guys that I'm more interested in. I'm seeing if I really think that there's somebody who moves the needle enough at forward to take me off of taking a goalie here. Otherwise, I think I am taking a goalie. I think it is going to be Grubauer. Grubauer's still out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it
He
is going to be
is.
Grubauer. I think he's going to get wins. I think Seattle's going to win some games. He's going to get some wins. They have Joey Decord behind him. I'm obviously not super convinced that Decord is going to be a thing. Even if he is, like I said, I feel pretty confident that I'll know because I'll be noticing that Grubauer is taking a poop in his big boy pants for me on my team, and I'll be happy to move off him for Decord if they make that switch or if they go out and acquire somebody else. Keandre Miller and Barbashev go. I think I'm looking at Corpusalo here for the other pick. I think he's going
Damn.
to get some volume at least early on, and I think that Ottawa is looking like a better team, obviously, with Chychrun, Sanderson on full time this year. I think that there's at least a chance that they're a significantly better team this year. So willing to just kind of double tap goalies there, get a couple of perceived starters anyway on a
Mm-hmm.
couple of teams that I have some belief in for this year, and hopefully get some wins out of that. And I feel really good about having pushed goalies this far and still being able to get starters on teams that I like.
Yeah, it makes my situation a little bit more difficult. Those are the two guys I was looking at for my second goaltender, but that's okay. That's all right. I the two that I'm looking at here now are Ville Husso and Carl Vamelka. I think Arizona is going to be slightly better this year. Probably not that great, but I think they'll be competitive at the very least. So I'm feeling like Carl Vamelka is still a decent option, but I think if Ville Husso is there, I'm probably going to go with him. I think Detroit's going to be slightly better. They're also improved, I think, as a team. Maybe not as like they don't have a lot of good fantasy options, but I think as a team, they're going to be stronger in front of Husso. So I think that's the way I'm going to go. Because I mean the other guys that are here, we got Binnington, Gibson, Hart, who are volume starters. I don't really like any of those guys. Um, Phoenix, Copley, and then everyone else is kind of a tandem or a 2B. So,
Right.
or I mean, unless I want to go like Jake Allen or Capo Kakinen or something like that, which I don't want to do. So, uh, yeah, we're gonna go with Ville Husso here, so long as Mr. Clutch doesn't take him from me.
Mr. Clutch has 3 goalies already. I feel like you're
Okay,
probably pretty safe on that one.
yeah, that would be the ultimate troll. I'm taking a fourth goalie because I know you only have one. Yeah, let's go Husso. And now I just have 2 picks left. You only have 2 picks left. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Dawson Mercer goes at 178. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I
Although
saw that.
he's running on the third line right now.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Might
the top power play, but third line.
mhm. Be interesting to see how that shakes out. I feel like there's a pretty solid chance he just kind of bounces around down there
Yeah,
for a bit, and then you're kind of just left wondering what to do with him at times, right?
yeah, for
So
sure. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
I was just going to run through the picks real quick. So after my Corpusalo pick, it went Larson, Hurdle, Raymond, Wilson, Jarvis, Connor Brown. Then you took Billy Huso. Then we got Mercer, Arvidsson, Suzuki, and waiting for the 16th to begin here. You go ahead, Hutch.
All right. So I'm gonna take another defenseman. I've got Gustav Forsling right at the top here, the top of my list. I think that, well, I mean, obviously they're not going to give him the power play, which I think is stupid, but he's still a really good 5v5 scorer and contributor across the board. He gets a decent amount of blocks too, so I'm pretty happy with him being my 5th defenseman. And then with my last pick, I may have to start just thinking streamer. Um, because I'm thinking. Let's just take a look at my roster here. But I don't have a ton of people playing 3 games in this first week, this first short week, which is kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So I went Gustav Forsling, and then it's going to be a while before I pick again. But I don't know. What's your thought about taking streamers at the end of your draft?
Yeah, I definitely like it. In my case, like I've got Ekblad who's going on IR as soon as I get out of this draft, and so I'll just pick up that player.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely something that I employ a fair bit. Is where if there's no moves to be made before the season actually starts, and you're using actual moves, um, then yeah, the last round or the last 2 rounds even is where you want to maybe just load up um, with a couple of guys. Just a preview of that first week schedule. There's a couple of different things that I've been looking at. So you've got like Chicago plays Tuesday, Wednesday back to back. And you could do a Tuesday, Wednesday Chicago stream and then go into a Thursday, Friday New Jersey stream back to
Mm-hmm.
back. And then flip that into something like Ducks or Carolina who play Saturday, Sunday. Like you could have your streamer spot playing all 3 nights in that first week if you want to play it that way. So there's definitely some options like that um, that are pretty interesting. So I definitely agree. Like in the end here, there's a number of teams actually, especially in the first week here, who have a nice little schedule, a couple of off nights before the Saturday on the 14th,
Mm-hmm.
is the first heavy night. So there's like what is this, 8 teams that have 2 off night games before the Saturday. 9 teams actually, Devils as well. So there's definitely a lot of options that you can look at late in your drafts. Like I took Bjorkstrand, Seattle's one of them. You got
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, Nashville, Ottawa, Tampa, or sorry, not Tampa, Vegas, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Jersey. So there's definitely some options. I'm back on the clock here. I've been talking and not thinking about who I'm going to pick. I think I was looking at another. It's pretty much just best player available for me at this point. Could be a guy like. Did we get Boone Jenner off? No. I think it might be a Boone Jenner pick here. I'm
Papa
gonna go.
Boone.
I think I'm gonna do that. Center left wing. Hard to beat that.
I can
And
feel Blake's excitement right now.
yeah, definitely.
Probably a little late for his liking, but
Yeah, way too late for a guy as beautiful as Boone Jenner.
But it's okay. He's being drafted. We're not leaving him undrafted, Blake. We
Yeah,
wouldn't do that to you.
we're not leaving him out there to dry completely. So,
Ooh,
yeah, I'm
Brian
thinking.
Ruskos. He was the guy
Yeah,
I was thinking about taking.
yeah, he's definitely on the board for me. It might be a Bjorkstrand pick here for me as well, just for those quick off nights to start the
Mm-hmm.
year, and then I'll get him off the roster after that. So that sums up my team at this point, and we'll bring it back around to finish off with you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just to sum up after your Forsling pick, it went Bunting, Zaka, Lee, Orlov, Taylor Hall, Owen Power. I got Boone Jenner, Brian Russ came York on the turn. I took Bjorkstrand, and now we're coming back through the 17th for the final round. Last thoughts here, Hutch, on your final pick. Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm thinking streamer right now. At the top of my list, I have Burakovsky as a left wing, right wing eligible player. Seattle's got those 3 nights. It looks like other people are thinking streamer too, because I'm seeing Lucas Reichel going off the board.
Right.
And then yeah, Reichel's interesting, although he's not going to play with Bedard 5v5, and there's question whether or not he's even going to play on the top power play. So that I've definitely been holding back from getting too excited about Reichel because I need him to have some Bedard in his life for me to be interested.
For
But
sure. Yeah.
Riley Smith is another guy that's on the board still that I'm pretty interested in
Yep.
because he'll be playing
Pittsburgh
with
has
Malkin.
right.
So I like that, and actually as a stack because I got Malkin earlier, but I mean he's probably just going to be a streamer for early in the week because I think Pittsburgh's another team that has 2 early games. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
they
perfect.
have
Yeah,
it the
so
Tuesday and the Friday.
I'm thinking Smith or Burakovsky with my last pick here.
Yep.
Robert
Uh,
Thomas goes off the board.
yeah, I was looking at our boy Vrana there, who we've obviously been in on, but St. Louis doesn't have that great schedule to start. They've only got the one game before the Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
decided I couldn't go that route. Maybe later on I'll be interested in some Vrana, but couldn't pull the trigger for my last pick here. Um, oh yeah, Nick is asking, could we show the goalie stats one more time? We'll show them here. Wins 5, goals against -3, saves 0.6, shutouts 3. So definitely there's some weight to be had here with the wins. If that's what you're into drafting goalies. I don't know who's into that kind of stuff, but
I don't know. Now I'm like, is Burakovsky even healthy? Is he healthy yet?
I have honestly not seen a report
I
on him.
don't know. Now I'm not sure.
Does it say in the article?
Burakovsky. It says on September 21st, it said he's listed to practice Thursday as Kraken open training camp. So I'm guessing it's probably fine, but he's still listed as NA, which is kind of weird. But
Yeah,
I'm
that
sure
is weird.
that'll probably fix itself. You know what? I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah,
Burakovsky. There we go.
it's a
That's it.
17th round pick.
Yeah. Yeah, if I need to drop him, it's not a big deal. Kuzmenko, Kuzmenko with goes 202nd.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
actually pretty surprising.
that's a pretty solid fade on Kuzmenko.
Yeah,
Just checking to see where I had him because he really had not come up on my radar.
me
I know
neither.
I I regressed him decently hard. Yeah, he was still pretty far down. He doesn't shoot, man. Like it's a
Yeah,
problem. He doesn't hit or block. Like in this league, that's a problem. So yeah, kind of makes sense from that perspective. To be honest with you,
yeah.
Brant Clark, the last round pick there.
Ooh, interesting.
That's an
You know,
interesting.
okay. I did want to say, and maybe this is a bad time to talk about it, but I'm not sure if you've been seeing the line rushes from Anaheim. I talked about it a little bit in the Pacific Division preview that we did last week, but Olin Zellweger looks like he may be their power play one quarterback this year,
That'd be pretty sweet.
which is very interesting. So and he's a guy that's just not no he's on no one's radar right now. So
Mhm.
like put him on your watch list if you're watching this stream right now. Put him on your watch list. I feel like he's a guy that may surprise some people. They keep pairing him with Radko Gudas, which makes me think that they're like giving him a legitimate
Right.
shot at making the lineup. Usually when they keep pairing you with a guy that's definitely going to be in the lineup, it usually means that you're probably going to be there too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like the prospects of Olin Zellweger this year for sure.
All right. Well, why don't we run through our teams here? You want to start, or you want me to start with mine?
You go for it.
All right. So for my team here, the way it shook out in the end, I've got Matthews, JT Miller at center. I've got Gensel and Boldy at left wing, Batherson and shakes out with Bjorkstrand being slotted into that right wing spot. I've got some flexibility to move some guys around, so probably won't work out like that every day, but it's the way it is for now. My defensemen are Dougie Hamilton, Chris Letang, Zach Wierenski, and Mike Matheson. My util spot right now has got Philip Forsberg in it. On the bench, I've got Ehlers, Sam Bennett. I've got Aaron Ekblad, who I'm going to throw in IR and pick up someone else for a first week stream, and Boone Jenner. My goalies are Grubauer and Corpusalo. I am pretty happy with this team overall. It's a little bit different of a format, so it feels a little bit strange, I guess, in some spots where I kind of prioritize towards the peripherals and away from the stats, like JT Miller being a case. Um, Batherson goes higher in a format like this as well. Gensel, even Letang. So there's a little bit of that going on, and so that might feel a little bit different than a little bit more of your standard points league. But overall, I'm really happy with this squad. I think there's a lot of upside here with the guys like Ehlers and Bennett and Boldy and Batherson. And then I stayed committed to the 0G, and I got a couple guys who are going to start on teams that I feel will at least be competitive this year, if not, you know, upper end echelon playoff teams necessarily, but should be pretty competitive this year and should get some wins. So overall, I think I'm pretty happy. I give myself a solid B plus. How about you, Josh? What are you looking at with yours?
I would actually give yours a little. I would give you a higher grade than that, to be honest. I actually like your team better than mine, but nonetheless, I am still happy with how things shook out. I got Stamkos and Hintz at center, Kaprizov, Nichushkin in the left wing slots, Tuck and Terry in the right wings. Got Yossi Carlson, John Carlson, that is, Jacob Chikrin, Bowen Byram as my D, Evgeny Malkin in the util slot. And then on my bench, I've got Carter Verhage, Arturi Lekkinen, Gustav Forsling, and then Andrei Burakovsky just as a streamer. And then a goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky and Vili Huso. So, yeah, pretty happy with this. I think, again, like kind of like you mentioned, just with the way that the peripherals were weighted in this scoring system, it does feel a little bit weird. So I'm looking at my roster being like, this doesn't feel like a Josh roster so much, but in some ways it does. But yeah, I mean there are still some names where I'm like, oh yeah, I have you in a number of places, but yeah, it does still feel a little bit strange, especially at the top of the draft. But yeah, I think I'm pretty okay with the way it turned out.
For sure. All right. Well, that has been it. It's been a fun draft. I'm really excited to see how this league turns out, actually.
Yeah, me too.
There's going to be a lot of good back and forth. Hopefully, we'll have some time to come back to it throughout the year and check in with how it's going. Hopefully, Josh and I are 1-2 in the standings all season long. We all know that I will emerge victorious, but Josh, you can be a runner up, and we'll allow that for you. Okay.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, folks. Well, if you've been with us this entire time, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you can, while you're here, like, subscribe, give us a review if you're on the podcast app, wherever you're at. We would really appreciate that. It really does help us out. But that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for following along. Much love.